or who are watching this right now live, thank you for taking time out and being here with us. And if you have any questions, then please post, comment it wherever you're watching this, and we'll be able to, answer it if we can, all of it, and we'll see how it goes.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you so much for inviting me
So
here.
I'm just going to post a reminder to their people there. Okay, I think my team has done that. So they are sending a reminder to people to join in. And Sangeeta, what is biography work?
Yeah, so this term causes a lot of confusion mostly when people hear they talk about is it that we train to write somebody else's biography?
Yeah.
Uh, but here, the protagonist of this work is yourself. You are turning the camera in selfie mode, looking at your life so far, from birth to until where you are today, and looking at it from a distance, from a bird's eye perspective, and trying to harvest learning from that so that you can, move forward in awareness. So
Okay.
almost like co-creating your future. Yeah. So
Interesting.
that's very briefly, yes.
And to know like what got you into biography itself, why,
Yeah.
how did you enter this space?
Yes. Uh, so it's strange, that life poses challenges, and in trying to find solutions, uh, you may or may not find the solution for the problem that you are seeking, but many paths open up. So that is how it was for me, and in fact for our whole family. My son was a little challenged with conventional education, and we started looking out for different kind of environment in a school, and that's how we came to anthroposophy, Waldorf education, and with some people we founded the co-founded the Bangalore Steiner School. And in an attempt to understand what exactly is the Waldorf curriculum, we started attending workshops and mentor talks, and that is where I found this beautiful world of biography work. And it was completely a space for me of self exploration, wanting to understand myself better, trying to understand my life but better. Why did all these challenges happen? Why am I going through whatever I'm going through? And that is how I slowly, it was almost, I feel like, it is Alice falling down the rabbit hole, and then discovering this completely magical world. So that is how it happened, for self exploration. But then now it's become my purpose in life. I do not know how I reached where I reached, but today I'm here, completely devoted to biography work. Yeah.
Superb, superb. Thank you. I mean, that's very interesting to note, and I just like to remind to the audience that thank you for taking time out and being here, and I hope we give you an awesome time, a lot of value, and do stay till the end. And we have very very interesting things to share tonight. And Sangeeta, like, what kind of people generally ask these kind of questions about their life? Is there some age group when people would be, little more wanting such seeking? Is there something like that?
Yeah. So usually it is individuals uh, who have, who are carrying life questions. There are some people who are just curious and find this work interesting, and like that's how I started, out of curiosity. And it's a journey where then suddenly you realize that, oh, there are so many areas of my life which I'm not really, understanding. Why am I like this, or why is this like this? So carrying people who are carrying questions. So it could be people who are challenged in their relationships, whether it is with a parent, whether it is with a spouse, with their children. Like, they feel that there is, I want to work, on this. I want to make this a better relationship. I want there to be harmony. Then there could be people who are feeling suddenly out of the blue. they are in their late 30s, nearing 40s, and suddenly they feel like life is going great, and yet there is something that's from inside asking them to reach out, explore more, or even quit the current jobs that they are in, and which, to the outside world might seem like going very smooth. So maybe we call it the midlife crisis. Yeah. So there are people in that category. Then yeah, so also people who come with uh, they feel that there is something in me that seems stuck, that I seem to be getting into similar kind of situations time and again. So there is something about me that, I'm attracting all these encounters, experiences, and I want to understand what is it. Is there a pattern in which I am behaving or in which I'm being that is attracting this? So there are varied yeah, situations, but mostly people who are open to working on themselves first, and then maybe, thinking about their relationships or trying to work with their other people in their workspace or personal space, whatever. So like your title suggests, getting into selfie mode.
Yeah, that's a nice thing that you mentioned. I'm getting into selfie mode. I remember when I did the biography, I was at a point where I was seeking a little more clarity. I had decided to stop sailing. I had hung up my sailing boots, and I wanted to know that what is the direction that I want to go in life. And there was some clarity. So I decided to do some biography work, which in turn made me realize my pattern, how I make my decisions, and like I come from a perspective of will, so I always look at which are my blocks and things. But biography gave me a lot of insights into myself. I must say that. So, with that thing in mind, if we have to take on, let's say, relationships, okay, for now, because relationships are a lot of human to human interactions heavily, and somewhere we carry our patterns, especially, let's say, for example, somebody who's been in a relationship 3 4 5 times, broken up, and then into another relationship, especially, which is quite common now, because that's what's the reality, right? So what would you advise to them, or how can they make sense of some things? Is it they are not getting the right persons in their life, or are their patterns repeating and then not allowing
Yeah.
them to grow?
Yeah, yeah. So, at the risk of sounding repetitive, this getting into selfie mode. So, first, really understanding what is my relationship with myself. Yeah. And then, moving into this, turning the camera towards the outside world. So, I think there are a lot of people. I also work with couples, who've been married for like some time, and then they feel that, uh, we feel very uncomfortable with each other, or the other is not listening to me, and so many, questions, and we want to work on it. So, my first advice to both of them is to individually work on your own self, your relationship with yourself, and then come, together and see, what is our language of love, how am I communicating, and what is the response, from the other side. So if it is people who have questions about repeatedly, facing challenges in relationships with others. Now this relationship could be on a personal level or even at a workspace, that constantly facing the same challenges. Then most probably it is, pointing to some pattern, something that you have been carrying for some time, and maybe looking at it, from a distance, or looking at it, from a different perspective, or even bringing it into your awareness. That itself, will shift how you respond to the other or to external circumstances. So I think the first step would be to become aware of what is it that I'm carrying as a pattern.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
how much I'd also like to invite the audience, if you're listening in, please do ask your questions, and Sangeeta and me would be happy to take some of them. And thank you so much for taking time out and being here. Really appreciate that, and I hope we can give you a lot of value tonight. And do post some questions. I will also share a form in case uh, you want to get in touch with any of us. Then you can fill out that form, and Sangeeta and me can reach out to you. Uh, I'm going to be sharing that. Okay, and there is this is our weekly dialogue sessions where I invite guest speakers, and we have some very innovative ideas, people who are doing great work in their space, to give them space, give them the visibility. And that's what we are doing here. And Sangeeta is a biography therapist who's a coach and a trainer, and she's been doing some amazing work helping people make sense of their past and helping them find paths for the future. And thank you, Sangeeta, once again. And
Thank you. My
continuing
pleasure.
on, especially for people who are coming on to the session now live, and really a warm welcome to you. And going back to relationship, especially since it's a two-way kind of a street, you can only control your half. And how to make sense with biography.
Oh, is that a question for me?
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, I guess it takes two to tango, but my teacher, Carl Heinz, from who I really got this whole concept of biography work, he says that a minute shift in the tectonic plates of the earth are capable of creating islands, continents, uh, earthquakes, tsunamis, everything.
mm,
uh, so sometimes I have people who come to me who say that I want to work in this relationship with my partner, and I want to really, I'm very invested in it, and I want to work further on this, on making it better. However, I am not able to convince my partner that he or she should also work with me parallelly. uh, so then the suggestion or advice to that person is that you do your bit, right? You do whatever you can, and when there is a shift in who you are, then there definitely is going to be some shift in your relationship, in the dynamics of the relationship. You cannot control the other, but you have like the great work that you do with your will strength coaching, right? It's all about building up yourself, right?
yeah,
So with biography work also, that is what we endeavor to do, that how can I build myself up so that whether pleasant things come or challenges come toward me, I am able to maintain my center, and then operate from this space, right? Like with the pandemic, we have all seen how so many unknowns, sorry, excuse me, and one constant message was build your immunity, work on your immunity. So I would say biography work, looking at yourself, working on yourself, uh, would be building a very healthy immune system, and being able to deal with relationships, or whoever your partner, or whether it's a child, your relationship with a child which is difficult, or whoever else, it is something that I feel will definitely shift, or at least your perspective of that challenge shifts. So then
yeah,
you feel the challenges, somewhat
yeah.
easier to deal with. Yeah.
So, continuing on similar lines, like as a parent, okay, how much are we carrying the sins of the father or sins of the mother in a way, I mean, playfully saying, in the sense that their behaviors rub on to us, whether we like it or not, and we become kind of the same parent what our parents were. And if we don't realize it, then probably we would be repeating the same pattern to our child, right?
Absolutely.
So, is there something that you could tell for parents, some activity or something that they could do?
Yeah. So when I work with parents, they're very eager to find solutions to what's happening in the present. Like my child is having challenges with this, or my child is being not really connected to us, or hiding things from us, or my child is not listening to me. Uh, so they're coming with wanting to really fix it in the present and the future. But for me, the journey begins in the past. Like you were saying, we call it the intergenerational patterns. In our growing up years, where we are like a sponge taking in, from the environment and learning or imitating what is coming, not just in the way we are in our physical habits, but also in our habits of thinking, in our habits of behaving, in our, habits of emotion, everything. On a subconscious level, we are taking it in, and we build narratives around it. Sometimes it's narratives which are known to us, like, oh, my father had a very bad temper, so never going to be that with my kids. Or it's going to be like, this is a successful pattern, and I'm going to, like, be exactly like this worked, right? So we carry that into who we are, and now we forget that times have changed, the child has changed, right? At that point I was the child, and this is the parenting that was appropriate, or whatever what the parent thought were appropriate. But now, uh, it is the child who I need to look at as the child, and now here I'm the parent, and having to actually sit and look at what has shaped me into being the parent I am today. From where have I got my role modeling? From where have I got the narratives? And also, like, very authentically taking stock and saying, does this hold good right now? The situation that I am in, the consciousness that my child is born with, right? The times that we are in, with all that's happening around us. So I think that authentic taking stock is necessary. So it is not from just present and future, but going to the past and looking at it without blaming or judging anybody, including ourselves, but a very objective look at it, with the intent of learning from it. Not saying that my father did what this my father did was wrong, or right, or whatever. Not judging, but with the intent of learning from this, and then taking that and seeing how can I do what needs to be done now. Yeah.
Yeah. So would you advise, especially people who come from a who know for sure that they're having trauma from their past? It could be something severe, or they suspect it is definitely like a trauma. Then what can they do? What should they do?
Yeah. So I'd like to say that biography work helps us in healing our past. We look at it from a different perspective. We look at it from a distance, and somewhere we are able to see, a 360-degree view rather than just being in the feeling. However, I'd also like to say that if this is something that is huge, something that cannot be dealt with, just by looking at it, then of course, I though biography work is healing, then of course we would advise them to seek therapy, or some other kind of intervention. But biography work helps definitely to heal, because we are still operating from the space, like let's say something happened to me as a 6-year old, then I'm still operating from that same space. And though I might be 52 today, I'm still operating, continuing in that same space, same emotions attached to it or whatever. So biography work helps to you know separate the two, that okay, this is what happened at 6 years of age, and here I am today. Am I capable enough of really healing this or making sense of this and moving forward? So yeah, I guess that would be my answer to it. But yes, it is not therapy in the conventional term, though it is healing. Yes.
Nice. And I also like to recall that how in biography we are not trying to relive our past in some ways, right?
Yeah.
And we are trying to be the narrator of the person that is you, as if it's
Yes.
a third party. And I
Yes.
think that itself makes it very objective in what I've observed,
Yeah.
and keeps the emotions a little bit away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not perfect, but it definitely doesn't make you relive as if you're reliving the trauma, reliving those bad memories, or even, I mean, good memories. It's good to relive, but otherwise too. So I would also like to inform the guests that if you have a questions, please do post. It comes up to us, and we would be happy to take that. Do let us know that what is the issue from your past that troubles you. Is it, you can leave a word: relationship, parenting, life purpose, addiction, which also Sangeeta specializes in, or adoption and things like that, especially parenting challenges. So we could also know and focus a little bit more. You come here, you've taken time out, so we would also like to give you the benefit of being the live audience, and making it more focused towards helping you. And if you have a question in particular, then it would be great. Please do type out your question, and we'll try to take that up. And I will also be sharing a link of a book, a free ebook that I give away. It's called The Pursuit of One Thing. You can grab a free copy, and uh, you can just take that, and I would be happy to share that. So I've shared the link there. So please do grab that copy. Shiblin says parenting challenges, and like we were speaking, I'm not sure if Shiblin was there a little while before, and we were talking about how our own parents, all of us, nobody is immune. All of us carry our own our parents' style to our child. Okay, unknowingly, some of them are good practices. Some could be also toxic practices which we need to let go. And biography work, from what I understand, helps people make sense of it, to be a little more filtering of their patterns, to take more control. Like I say, in terms of will, that we have the power to control our lives and, in a way, become creators of destiny. And Sangeeta here is doing some amazing work in helping people make sense of their lives and their past. So keep the questions going. So it helps us to know what is the topics that you would like to talk. Shiblin says parenting. Anything else that you would like to add for a parent, Sangeeta?
Uh, yeah, so I think my journey with biography started because of the questions related to parenting. I wanted to be a good parent and a better parent than who I was, and somewhere a conscious parent. And that is where my journey with biography started. And what biography gave me was a beautiful framework of the development of human consciousness from birth until death. So it was like, okay, when the child is in the first 7 years, uh, this is the development that happens. And then, so when there was a framework, it became easier for me to understand what was coming towards me from my child, right? So there was a lot of clarity in terms of, oh, why was my child at 3 in the third year, when the child suddenly, from being very docile and listening to everything, suddenly says no, no, I don't want to do this, no, I will not listen to you. And parents are so invested that they take this personally, that my child is rebelling against me. Understanding that at age 3, it's the individuality of the child that is coming up, where the child has to learn to build muscle by saying no to what is coming from outside. So then it became, so much more easier. Something similar happened in the third septennial, that is around the teenage area. When teenage years, when my son started isolating himself, he would go in. The person who used to come and talk and so be so chatty suddenly goes into a room, and anything you ask, it's like, how was school? It was good. What did you do? Oh, nothing. And then wants to be away, doesn't even want to eat with us. And parents start taking it very personally. Either they feel there is, I'm not doing something right, or we feel something is wrong with the child. So biography gave me a framework which helped me understand that there is a lot that is happening with the child in terms of inner work, in trying to really build up that individuality. And it's like, I like to use this analogy of a road under construction. So if there is some repair work happening, what we do is we barricade, we don't allow ongoing traffic, right? So that is what the child is doing. If you see in terms of, closed doors, or even putting on headphones, it's like they want to filter out all the noise from outside. And it's because there is so much happening there. So for me, learning to give that space, at the same time knowing where the boundaries are, and not letting the child just be there, but engaging and connecting. So I think biography work does help in understanding where is the child versus where am I, what am I undergoing. So it's like, it's not just like, because we are thinking of parenting, we're thinking the child is on his journey, and our camera is focused on that. So can I learn to also shift into selfie mode and say, oh, I'm around 35. So there are so many things that are happening with me as well. So just like we are going on a parallel journey. So that brings in a lot of I feel a sense of peace, and sense of like, okay, this is what is normal, a normality, normalizing that, okay, this is normal, this is not just my child, or just this is not just me and my family, but yeah. So I think the framework that biography work gives, I think it helps hugely in parenting.
Yeah, that's actually brilliant. I mean, I can think of stories of children that I've worked with when I would speak to the parents, and during those conversations, they would share some things that, hey, you know what, actually, we are bringing this baggage and become a little bit more mindful. And yeah, that's wonderful. And before we continue, I would like to share that if you're liking this dialogue and if you like to listen to more of this, I've shared the channels in the chat, and please do follow them. Please do follow wherever you are watching this, if you're watching this live, and click the bell icon so you get notified our next events whenever the dialogues are happening. And we would be bringing you some really good speakers, and we're doing some amazing work. Sangita is doing that. And Sangita, to carry on with this, how much of our past starts to matter, in the sense, if something, a new habit or a new pattern I picked up, say 2 years back, versus something which is coming way down, or a behavior. I'm saying negative behavior. Two negative behaviors are there. One is coming way behind, 20 years behind, and something else which has been picked up in more recent times. Uh, what would you ask them to deal with first?
uh, Well, that's not a very easy question to answer, uh, because it depends on uh, how, what is the intensity of course, the habit. uh, like, it would be really easy, relatively easy, to shift something which has happened in the recent past, right?
Mm.
You're very close to it. So there is, you're able to see it more clearly, and not much time has passed in terms of memory, and also it has not become a part of your etheric, your life forces. It's like, if you have learned to cycle or swim when you were a child, and even now, you do not have to be in the aware space at all. It just automatically comes. It's become so much a part of your etheric that you are, just doing it. Whereas if it is recently that you have picked up, that cycling, let's say just a year ago you learned how to cycle, then you have to be more in the aware space. You're more in the aware space that, okay, yeah, I have to do this. Okay, I should, so I think it's much difficult or takes more time uh, and effort and will from your side to go back to something that happened much much earlier, because we have a tendency to keep pushing it, and there are various layers that form over it. So it's going deeper and deeper, and it's almost like, you have to keep peeling one layer after the other to get, like, like an onion, to get to the center of it. You need to keep peeling, right? And it seems very uncomfortable. uh, you feel like, okay, it's, somewhere far away in the past, so let me not even go there. I mean, it's the past, so we also tend to uh, even negate the existence of something like that. But as we keep peeling the layers, we see that, it is there, and very much influencing who we are today or how we are today. So I would definitely invite people to, go to something that is coming from the past, but it will definitely take more effort, more will from their side to work on it, right? It's like some, because there is not much visibility in the present. So yeah,
Wonderful.
I hope
And
I answered your
you were
question.
mentioning about will and being a will strength coach. I also like to tell people that we are having a master class on grit, and I will be sharing the link with you all. It's a free master class happening. So please do join, and it's a simple sign up, and you'll be invited to the master class. I've shared the link in the chat window. So please do attend the grit, and my mission is to help people build will strength so they can become creators of destiny. And I've shared the link. Yeah. So
Yeah.
continuing, Sangeeta, like you have mentioned that how life purpose and especially midlife crisis which comes. What is the age that you would say such questions arise from a biographical point?
Yeah. So I think in the mid, uh, like from 21 to 42 is when we are in the midst of life. Life is happening, so much is happening, in terms of we step out of the cocoon of our family and teachers and school and college, and it's almost like we're walking out into the world. So you know around 35 years or little later, around that time, of course this is just the archetype that I'm talking about. So it's not like exactly at 35, or so there might be for different people it might be different times. But around that time, like I'd like to bring out my example that uh, around 38, 39, I had a very successful business going, and uh, I had built it from scratch. And, there were so many people working under me and for me, with me. And something, everything in the external world was going fine. We were making money, everything was going beautifully. And but yet there was something in which, in me, which was knocking and saying that there is something more that you need to do. There is something different that you need to do. And there was this, absolutely no logical explanation when somebody, would ask me, why would you quit? Why do you want to quit this? I did not have an explanation, because it was not coming from the logical mind, or from what I could list out as, pros and cons, things like that. And that was not how I normally made decisions. But it was like something that was guiding me towards a different path. And I have people who come, post 35, who say we're doing great in our careers, and yet something is telling me that, okay, this is not where you want to be. So it's almost like your purpose, or you're from the future, there is something that is calling out to you. And it seems, it's, but it is something that is coming from within, and it does not make sense logically. So you could ignore it and just go ahead continue doing what you do until you retire, the same thing. Or you could pause and, look at it and say, okay, what is this voice telling me? Right? So around 35 to 40, around 40, 42, it's almost like it's bubbling up if you're listening to it. But of course, I mean, I'm sure it happens, those knocks come for everybody. But if you ignore it enough times, maybe it just goes away, or it stops knocking. Right? But if you're listening to it, then the knocks are becoming stronger and stronger and louder. So yeah, around between 35 to 42 is when it starts getting intense.
Yeah, I remember that biography in a way helped make sense of the questions that were going to come ahead for me in a way. And so when I was at that knock, when the door was knocking, and I had to make sense, it was no longer a shock because I knew it was going to happen. It's like it's already been predicted. Of course, I'm not saying it's like weather predictions, could rain, may not rain, but you have an umbrella.
Yeah.
And I could also see that one of my friends was much younger to me, I think 5 6 years, and he would ask me, why, Preetham, are you doing this and this? I'd say, just wait a moment, you will come to the same point in a couple of years. And he did come there.
Yeah.
And he had the same questions. He was like, yeah, because you wouldn't have understood if I tried to explain this, I said,
Right.
because the questions are different. I mean, I can ask the audience, like, whatever you are in life, the question that you are going through, if you probably look at somebody younger, 10 years younger to whatever your age group, or 15 years, you'll be amazed that they will not be able to make sense, not from an intellectual, but from a journey, human journey perspective, that they still have to reach that point, to make sense, I
Yeah.
guess. And you had an activity in mind, we were talking earlier, which could probably help, I'm assuming, to make sense of some purpose, if they could do that.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, with the audience, I would also like to say that if you have a question, please do post, and we'll be really happy to take that. And thank you for taking time and being here. Really appreciated. Shilbin, we try to address the parenting challenges. Unless you have a specific question, do post, and we'll see how we could help here. And for others, please do post. Parenting, what is your concern? Is it parenting, relationship, life, midlife crisis, making, finding purpose, or what is, or from your past that you're looking to harvest? Like we say, you can harvest those nuggets, get those gold for yourself, because each of us have collected those gold nuggets, and whether you want to use it or not is really up to you. And that's what I think Sangeeta is going to be doing now, helping you find those treasures in this session.
Yeah.
Sangeeta, yeah.
So, yeah. Uh, so I'd invite whoever is around, and you too, Captain, uh, to just go back down memory lane. I would choose a time between 16 years and 25 years of your life. Yeah, 16 to 25. And the first thing that comes to mind, uh, with regards to when I ask a question, uh, what was a significant encounter? Now, by encounter, I mean a person you met, something a person said, maybe a book you read, a movie you watched, yeah, or an incident or event that happened, to you from outside, right? So, if you bring a very significant event or encounter, uh, if you just and please don't rationalize it, and just something that top of the mind comes as something significant. Yeah.
Yeah. So Yeah, I mean, audience is welcome to post. They are significant. If you are comfortable, please share the significant moment. If not, at least share the type out the year that was significant. More than one, it could be more than one.
Yeah,
And from 16 to 25, what was your significant year? Something milestone, good and bad, both. There's
yeah,
not
yeah.
any.
Doesn't matter. Whatever just came up when we said significant between those years.
Yeah,
And when we say type out the year, we don't mean the calendar year. We mean how old were you? Like
yeah.
I
How old
was
were
18
you?
or
Yeah,
I was 22 or whatever.
yeah.
Right? Uh, yeah. And just be with that encounter, and also take a few minutes to look at how has it evolved over the years, and how has it shaped who you are today, right?
Hmm.
Like how has it contributed to who you are today?
Yeah,
And sometimes it changes form, right? Like it might have started off as an interest in a topic from a book that you read, and has that then evolved into your vocation or the purpose, or
yeah,
anything. How are you able to see that thread up to where you are today,
yeah.
currently in life?
Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant. I mean, I could share, of course, just to
Yes,
get the
that would
ball
be
rolling.
lovely. Yeah, yeah,
Is significant was in the 18th year, a big moment in many ways. And one was my dad's had a cardiac arrest, and he had to. I mean, he survived that through that, so, but that was a shaking moment because till then I had assumed that he's going to be there for all the time. Kingdom come. We don't think of parents going away, and so that kind of shook me up in some ways. And I also became the adult at that time. I took over the reins in a way. Not that my dad was not respected, but it was like I took charge of any major decision. Was like, no, you know what? I'm going to take over now. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take over. So in a way, I became the adult, good or bad. And also, well, it was a game changing year because that's when I joined my Navy, training and the services, because that you can say also was a straw decision that culminated my dream there at that time. It was a turning point in a positive way, and with pain and then positivity. So I would say that. And another turning point here is 23, 24, where I went through a life and death kind of a situation, near
yeah.
death experience. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Captain, for sharing that. So I have a follow-up question, if you feel comfortable. You said at 18, post your father's passing away.
Not
Uh,
passing. He's around still,
oh, I'm so
and
sorry. I'm so,
yeah,
so,
he's
so, so
around
sorry
still.
about
I'm
it.
saying he
Okay, but
survived.
yeah, yeah. So you said,
Survived, but
use the word,
it made me take charge.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. So I'd like to
I
pick
no
that
longer
word.
looked at him as the head of the family
Yeah,
at that
sorry.
time.
I'm extremely sorry about
No
that.
problem. No
I
problem.
know. So you said taking charge.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you see how that has evolved into who you are today, currently, and what you do, and how has that, contributed?
Yeah, absolutely. That taking charge was a defining moment because after that, it has been that any crucial decision that were taken were run by me, and I would play a significant part in sharing my thoughts and inputs to the family. So that was a turning point. And my dad, who was a very strong person till then, also in a way, luckily, there was no conflict. He handed over the baton to me. In some ways, he would ask me. He didn't. It was not like, okay, it was a war that we had to fight to take charge now.
Yeah,
He handed it over and said, yeah, what do you think, Preetham? Should we
yeah,
do this or not? And I would
yeah,
say,
yeah,
let's do this.
yeah.
Yeah.
So did it also expand into the outer world later on? This taking charge or whatever. Do you see
Yeah,
that?
it happened in how I chose my life partner, or it was my decision there, and any other career decision, major decisions, whether it was some investment decisions that I had to make. It was taking charge and control, that I'm responsible. And I would consult him. I still do some things if I like. He's got words of wisdom, but I would take that control. I would take the charge, take the responsibility that, yeah, this is my decision.
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
this.
yeah. So it's interesting for me sitting here on this side listening to you. It also looks like you're working with the will aspect of taking charge, taking responsibility
Yeah,
in the work that you do today,
yeah,
right? So you can see something, how that has the thread has continued and grown in terms of from yourself to your family to maybe wider and wider, and
mm,
today you're this that is the purpose of your life, to help people
yeah,
take charge of their will,
yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, I
interesting.
had a little goosebump moment, when you were mentioning the connect to the will work that I'm doing and the taking charge at the 18. It's brilliant
Yes,
connection.
yeah, yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for that. And I hope, audience, thank you for your time. But I hope you have any more questions. We have one last topic coming up before we wind up. If you have any questions, please do share. And the question is about not directly, but it's since you mentioned, Sangeeta, about addiction related challenges. What could people do? It could be smoking, drinking, could be something more stronger, chemical substances. How much of it biography could help them?
Um, yeah, that's a topic very close to my heart, because that was something I grappled with in a family member, and you know, uh, so when I get the biography, perspective on addictions, right? So we talk about how in the third septennial, that is from
If you
14
could
to
also
20.
share a little bit about septennials, I'm sure
Yeah,
the
yeah.
audience
Sorry.
from the
Yeah,
Steiner world will
yeah. So
understand. But
from
in case
so
we are,
Rudolf Steiner gave indications of development in stages, and he said it happens every 7 years. That of course it's continuously happening, but there is a major shift in the consciousness or the development that happens every 7 years. I think this is something that is also coming from our ancient, traditional wisdom and all that. But here, since we're talking about biography, I'd like to bring in, anthroposophy. So he had broken down the human life into septennials, that is 7 year periods, right? So the first three septennials are where we are taking in from outside. The second three septennials are where we are, giving, taking, trying to make sense, right? And then the next three septennials, that is 42 to 63, all that we have accumulated, we have learned, we're trying to now give out or contribute to the bigger world. Yeah. So the third septennial, that is the 14 to 21, is when the human development is moving towards developing an individuality, right? Individuality, as in where I become responsible for who I am, where I take responsibility, like you were saying, the 18th year, where you had to actually either by uh, because of external circumstances or as a result of human development that is anyways happening, right? So during that time, it's our individuality that needs to come in and take charge. And when there is exposure to addictive substances or any kind of addiction, like it need not only be substances, but also whether it is video games or whatever else is
like
coming.
pornography and other
Yeah,
things for that.
yeah, any kind of addiction, then the individuality has not completely developed, and it's almost like the addiction is now taking charge. So the person's individuality is not in charge, it's the addiction that is in charge. So when we work with biography work, we go into those septennials, and we see how this has contributed, right, to the addiction and the problem that it is causing right now. uh, Also a little bit of shifting of somewhere like the will work that you do, where I decide that okay, the substance has been in charge, and it what are the consequences of the addiction being in charge? And when I see that, and when I say, oh my God, this substance has completely sabotaged my life, and I want to take back the charge, I want to be in charge now, then I bring in my I, or my individuality, and I work on this, right? So a lot of will work, a lot of you know, witnessing quality about what actually went wrong and what can I do, bringing in my I, and then of course taking the support of many other programs that are available in terms of, uh, addiction, de-addiction, and stuff like that. But it definitely helps in understanding what needs to be done differently and who needs to be in charge. Yeah.
So thank you, Vinod, for sharing. Vinod, who was a colonel, who has been retired as a colonel from the army. He's sharing that he had joined the NDA at his 18th year, and 22nd year he was commissioned as an officer, and 24th he had a near-death experience in the Kargil war. So what would you make sense for his, especially the life mission, life purpose kind of perspective? I
Yeah,
mean, is there something that you could throw some light?
yeah, so I look at the 18th year is, a very significant year for most people. Uh, that's when we call it like, the window to our pre-birth intention, who I am, what am I going to do as my purpose in life. So, I mean, I see that he has joined the NDA at that time, right? And it seems like the next maybe few decades has gone, exactly in that area. So it would be interesting for me to hear from Colonel Vinod as to, how has this thread carried on in terms of, it looks like, if I don't know much about his life, so I can't really say, but how did it change who he was as a person in terms of discipline, or how does he, structure, his life, and also, how has that uh, somehow evolved into who he is today. So
Yeah.
I can't
So,
really talk about it, but it would
yeah,
be
but yeah,
interesting to
Vinod,
hear.
it would be great if you could reach out to Sangeeta, and also we have left a form here to reach out for guests. If you would like to connect with us, then there is a Google form you could fill out, and we would be happy to connect with you and take that, a little bit beyond uh, if it's beyond the scope, to take it now, and we'll be happy to connect. And before we go into the last question, I'll just be sharing a link of the Grid Club. Grid Club is a will strength masterclass where I help people build their will strength so they can improve the quality of their day. And once you improve the quality of your day, you start seeing that you can improve the quality of your year, and vis-a-vis improve the quality of your life. So taking charge of the day is completely in our control. Like today, you took charge, and some of you have taken time out and to have attended this live session. Really, thank you to you for taking this time out. And so, if you'd like to take charge, I've left the link. It's a masterclass, a free masterclass. You can attend that by clicking that link there. Yeah. So I'll see some of you there. And before we close up, Sangeeta, what what are your closing thoughts, or like who should do biography work? As a close.
Yeah. Uh, so, as I mentioned earlier, someone who's carrying questions, maybe about uh, what is my path going forward? Uh, who am I? If I had to take away the roles as a wife, as a husband, as a, employee, then who am I? Right? Or challenging relationships, and where you feel that, okay, I want to do something about it. So, if you see, I have been repeating the word I, right? So the whole point is, to focus on who am I, how can I understand myself better, and then with that knowledge, how can I choose? Do I want to be who I am? Do I want to shift certain perspectives? Do I want to completely throw out certain perspectives and work on certain parts of me? So I think, yeah, anybody who's wanting to work on themselves and open to working and understanding, so that they can, bring harmony in their relationship with others around them, workspace, personal space, whatever, finance, whatever.
Yeah, making sense. Yeah. And
Yeah.
any final questions from the audience? Please do share anything you would like to comment. Hope you had an amazing time, amazing session. And we will be having more such sessions. Please do follow our social media handles, and we will be coming live again. Hit the bell icon so you get notified as well, especially on YouTube. If not, we'll see you in the next session. Thank you, Sangita, for taking time out. It's wonderful connecting and talking to you always, and especially today that you had so much of value to share to people and how they can make sense. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Captain. It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Bye bye.